also into north-central sections of Nebraska.
It's a picture of winter as heavy snow falls in the Rockies while thunderstorms threaten the central U.S. An up-to-the-minute report is next on Weather Center after your local forecast.
This program was sponsored by Honda Generators. Power when you really need it.
There are some people who prefer to be left in the dark. But if you prefer the light, you need a Honda generator. They're easy to start, efficient, and quiet. But best of all, they're reliable.
Honda.
That thing always works.
Always.
Well, it's time once again for a look at Storm Watch. We'll cover the complete tropics, very active weather again across the eastern parts of the Pacific and the western Pacific as well. And we're also going to talk about some active weather in the lower 48. As a matter of fact, this just into the Weather Channel, a brand new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for parts of Iowa, southeastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, and just nicking that northwestern corner of Missouri until 11 o'clock this morning, Central Daylight Time, just the beginning of what we think is going to be a large outbreak of severe weather today from Wisconsin, maybe all the way down to Texas. We will keep you informed. Right now we're going to check on the tropics, though, show you what's going on there. Some interesting weather. We have seen really an explosion of storms during the last couple of days. A lot of active weather again over the eastern Pacific, off the coast of Mexico and Central America. We are going to be talking about a couple of features. One is going to be Madeline. This is Lester right here, and a dying system beginning to decay right now is K, so we don't really have to worry about that one. But this one is already throwing moisture back into Mexico and even as far northward now as the southern plains, including much of Texas. Let's first of all talk about Hurricane Lester, because this is Lester right now. Again, the 2 o'clock advisory, Pacific Daylight Time, 14.6 degrees north, 95.6 degrees west. And you can see it was located about 95 miles southeast of Huatulco. Let's practice this one again. Huatulco, Mexico, I believe. Man, I know I'm butchering that one up. But top sustained winds 90 miles per hour, west-northwest at 7, and the pressure stands at 979 millibars. There it is right there. That is Lester. And again, we do have some warnings out with Lester at the present time. These are hurricane warnings where you see the deeper reds from Punta Maldonado, Mexico, all the way down to Puerto Arista, and then northward from there up towards Acapulco, Mexico, we have a hurricane watch in effect. And again, you can see as we take a look at Lester right now, very well organized hurricane at the present time. You can clearly see the eye. It's right around the center of circulation, right in that central dense overcast. So once again, crawling along the coast, and it's going to produce some heavy amounts of rainfall and some big-time swells for sure. That is system number one. Up the coastal line, we have to talk about another tropical storm. This is Tropical Storm Madeline, the 2 o'clock advisory, Pacific Daylight Time, 19.8 degrees north, 108 degrees west, or about 250 miles south of Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, which is right there on the tip of Baja California. Top sustained winds 65 miles per hour, almost hurricane status, nearly stationary, pressure 994 millibars, and officially right now we do have hurricane watches for the tip of the Baja Peninsula region, and they will remain in effect. And we also have tropical storm warnings in the same area, which does include La Paz, Mexico, for the next at least 24-hour period. And taking a look at this system right now, this tropical storm Madeline got its act together yesterday, and right now looks like it's being sheared apart somewhat, but still packing a punch, and could produce maybe some more hefty amounts of rainfall for parts of Mexico as well. And let's see what's going to be happening as far as Tropical Depression K basically is done. The final advisory has been issued, so no longer do we have to worry about K. We still have to worry about Zeb, which is still beginning to work its way across Japan right now. At one time a super typhoon. It moved across Luzon and produced widespread damage there and heavy flooding. Same thing again as it skirted Taiwan. Now it's just a heavy rainmaker for most of Japan. And also we have Tropical Storm Babs, which is going to become a typhoon within a couple of days, moving very slowly. Rather disorganized right now east of the Philippines, but this one is going to be slowing down, could be taking another track similar to what Zeb did, and could be curving its way off toward the northwest, maybe affecting the northwestern parts of the Philippines one more time. Taking a look at the Atlantic Basin, not much is going on right now, relatively quiet. We do have some convection in and around the islands for sure. Let's show you that one very quickly, and this is what is going on. And it looks like once again, well, lots of showers and thunderstorms here, but not too much to worry about as of the present time. Severe weather is something we are going to have to worry about. We will concentrate on this at the top of the hour. Please stay with us.
Tropical weather systems are affected by so many variables.
We constantly monitor the situation.
If someone is safer by watching the Weather Channel, that's what it's all about.
1 year ago, the people of TWA made a promise to make TWA a better airline, and they made it happen. Frequent Flyer magazine and J.D. Power and Associates reported that you, the frequent flyers, ranked TWA the #1 domestic airline in customer satisfaction for flights 500 miles or more. TWA thanks you for making us #1 and makes another promise. We will continue to get better for one important reason.
We want to be your airline.
Mud holes, dirt roads. Most people wouldn't think of driving through stuff like that. But then that's the beauty of Subaru all-wheel drive. It automatically transfers power from...
A good Saturday morning to you. It's time now for Storm Watch, and this edition of Storm Watch is sponsored by Walgreens. Today, very heavy rain and strong thunderstorms will likely be pounding the nation's midsection, and already this morning we've had a report of a possible tornado in Texas. We'll have full details coming up in just a moment, but first of all, let's see what's happening in the tropics. It's time for your tropical update, and as of late, we've had the activity increasing in the eastern Pacific. Yesterday we had Tropical Depression K, and although it's no longer classified as a tropical system, we are still seeing big blobs of convection. Still lots of showers and thunderstorms in association with what used to be K. Aside from that, though, we have Tropical Storm Madeline across the eastern Pacific. Then we also have Hurricane Lester, which continues to churn up the waters just off the Mexican coast. Here's the very latest information that we have on Hurricane Lester. Right now situated at 14.6 north, 95.5 west. It is still packing winds of 100 miles per hour. So over the last few hours or so, we have been seeing some further strengthening taking place. Right now, though, it's holding nearly stationary, although we do anticipate more of a westerly drift to be taking place, and perhaps Lester might be moving parallel to the Mexican shoreline over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. At this point, hurricane warnings have gone up from Puerto Arista and continuing over towards Punta Maldonado, and then just north of there we have hurricane watches in effect. And that means throughout this entire zone, you'll likely see some very squally conditions, some very gusty winds and locally heavy rainfall pelting the Mexican coastline. Now, from our satellite perspective, Lester looks very impressive. There's the eye standing out very clearly. You can see the brighter shades of oranges and reds, some very deep convection circulating right around Lester. And again, that will likely promote some very heavy rains along the coastal sections of Mexico. Now, just north of there, another tropical system, Tropical Storm Madeline. This one with winds of 70 miles per hour, and it continues to move off rather slowly towards the east-northeast. Here, too, we have hurricane watches and warnings in effect along the Mexican shoreline, which also includes the southern tip of Baja California, including the city of La Paz. Our satellite picture showing us that at least for most of the morning, We've had some drier air trying to get entrained with our tropical system here. But now the outflow looking a little bit better, and the wind shear too trying to relax just a little bit. So there may be a chance for some further strengthening to be taking place for the rest of today. So again, Madeline also something that definitely bears watching. In the western Pacific, we had Zeb, which continues to race kind of quickly towards the northeast, producing all the rains across Japan. And then farther towards the south, we have another tropical system, Babs. Now, unfortunately, the forecast for Babs does take it on a path very close to what Zeb did, and that means we might be seeing more major problems developing for the Philippines, perhaps more torrential rains and some mudslides the next couple of days as Babs slowly steers in that general direction. In the Atlantic basin, it's been kind of quiet. We have some disturbances, though, across the middle Atlantic and the eastern Atlantic, but they're not likely to develop. But our main focus right now seems to be the Caribbean, where we've had a couple tropical waves trying to work their way westbound. Right now, still some fairly impressive wind shear throughout this region, so development may be unlikely, but at any rate, still looking at some showers and storms, especially around Jamaica this morning. And another large cluster of showers and thunderstorms rather persistent over the southern islands, producing some heavier rains around Martinique and around Barbados. Stateside, here too, more weather headaches, more strong thunderstorms likely from Wisconsin through Minnesota down through Kansas City, a chance for some very rough conditions. We had a box out, but now that has been canceled, but I wouldn't be surprised to see more severe thunderstorm watches being reissued later on today as we're looking at a very unstable atmosphere. Warm, moist air continues to feed northward from the Gulf. A very strong low-pressure system coming in from the west, and also some cooler, drier air wrapping in behind the storm system, creating a clash of the air masses. So the ingredients are coming together for some vicious thunderstorms. And they'll be rumbling today from Minneapolis and Green Bay and Milwaukee southward towards Dallas, Texas. More about this storm system and how it could be affecting your weather coming up in just a moment.
Tropical weather systems are affected by so many variables.
We constantly monitor the situation.
If someone is safer by watching the Weather Channel, that's what it's all about.
This program was sponsored by Walgreens, the pharmacy America trusts.
Cincinnati train departing at 6:08.
With days scheduled down to the minute, no one has time to wait for prescription refills. But with Walgreens' new 24-hour touch-tone pre-fill system, your refills are pre-filled. Just dial the number on your prescription bottle, set your pickup time, and keep your day right on schedule.
Your prescription will be ready at 6:45.
Refills that are ready when you are, only at Walgreens.
It's only a little scratch.
Here a scratch, there a scratch, everywhere a scratch.
10 minutes till the top of the hour. Time now for Storm Watch. I'm Lisa Moser. Thanks for tuning in for this edition of Storm Watch. We are looking at a flash flood situation in parts of Texas. A flash flood warning has been issued for Fayette and Gonzales counties. This flash flood warning is in effect until 10:45 local time. The last report of rainfall very heavy at 2 inches per hour, currently moving through the vicinity. We'll continue to update you on the severe weather, but at this time it is to update you on our tropical weather update. We are looking at the big picture here. It has been a bit active this weekend across parts of the Pacific. We do have some convection that has grown some across Central America and the extreme western areas of the Caribbean. You'll also notice out just north of Venezuela and the Leeward Islands, we're looking at a disturbance here, well, a wave, and it's getting quite a bit of some shearing. If you just look at the cloud cover here, you'll notice these little fragment sections across the edge, and that's certainly an identifier of the shearing going on. Let's take a closer look out towards the Caribbean. Now, I want to point out that we have an old frontal boundary, and anytime we see an old front draping across the area, we kind of keep an eye on it. Water temperatures are still fairly warm. But the mid-level winds are being clocked at about 30 miles per hour. That's kind of strong, kind of fast wind, and so that's doing a real good job of doing that shearing. You'll also notice as we take a closer look here out towards the Leeward Islands, here's Venezuela, Tobago right here, you'll notice also, see this fragment? We're beginning to lose the daylight hours, and so we'll have to say goodbye to these visible imagery pictures and take closer looks at the take closer looks at the infrared imagery the next time. Let's take a look first out towards the coastal areas of Africa. We had a wave to push over. I believe this was yesterday, late yesterday, and you'll notice it still has survived, and so we'll continue to watch this. But again, mid-level winds coming in, those westerlies are quite brisk, and so not very favorable for development here. Let's go out to the Pacific. We've had a very interesting time this week monitoring a few things. Immediately you'll probably recognize what was Tropical Storm K. The cloud tops have been a little bit more impressive for today, and so we'll continue to watch K. Could K come back as a tropical depression? Certainly we'll continue to watch to see if that does occur. This right here is Madeline. Madeline is forecast to strengthen and become a hurricane and may be a threat as we head into the next 24-hour forecast period for the coastal areas of Mexico, just due east of the extreme southern tip of Baja California. Now, let's take a look at Lester. Lester was a little bit further to the south. We'll take another look at Lester in just a minute. The sustained winds at 100 miles per hour. It's moving to the west, northwest at 7 miles per hour. Kind of slow, right? Well, that's going to cause some concern because the forecast for Lester is calling for it to just kind of graze right across Acapulco. And you may recall, if you've been looking at some of the terrain, that just go about 30 miles inland, you've got very high mountain range in this vicinity. And so that's certainly some concern because we're not just talking about the possibility of rain and high hurricane wind, but also the threat of mudslides and a lot of flooding because of that high terrain. Do keep that in mind. We are currently looking at hurricane warnings in effect for Acapulco, and these were upgraded since earlier today. And so if you're planning on doing a weekend trip here or a week trip this way, you've got some problems and some decisions to make. Here we are looking at the visual imagery of Lester, and you'll note the eye is very clear here on our shot, and you'll also notice that the northern band, the northern side, is just grazing right across the coastal areas of Mexico at this time. Okay, here's Madeline. And we have a new update here. Madeline now a hurricane. Madeline has taken a little bit more turn to the right here. It's now moving to the northeast, kind of a slow mover at 5 miles per hour. And again, in the next 24-hour period, we are likely to see a deteriorating of conditions across the coastal areas of Mexico. And eventually, we are talking about landfall maybe in another 24-hour period. So some concerns here towards the Pacific. Here's the Baja, and here's the coastal areas of Mexico. We still have a tropical storm minimum strength, a Zeb, I believe, across the Japan island.
Life's a ball with fine fall conditions across much of the U.S., but the picture is stormier in the nation's midsection. For expert updates, watch Weather Center next.
The human body. In your lifetime, you'll have but one. And what it becomes depends on what you make of it. At Stairmaster, we believe that safe and effective exercise can dramatically change your life. Using our world-famous stair climber just 3 times per week will make an incredible difference. You'll lose weight and keep it off. Your body will be firmer and more attractive. You'll have more energy and improve your health with a stronger heart and lungs. Previously only available in health clubs, the world's most popular stair climber is now available to you at home. No other exercise machine can match the quality and performance of a Stairmaster workout. The time to change your life is now. Operators are standing by, so call now to receive your free Stairmaster video and information kit, including details on our low monthly payment plan. 1-800-490-3322. That's 1-800-490-3322.
You didn't dial 10-10-321?